Hello, everybody, and welcome to After the Game with Todd Leary, coming to you, of course, live from Yogi's here in Bloomington, Indiana. Game day, Indiana taking on Stanford today, and a lot better result today than it was yesterday. Todd Leary joins us now, former basketball player for the Hoosiers. And Todd, response. There was one word I wrote down, and it was response. And, man, response, that we can answer that in a lot of different ways. None bigger, of course, than Trace Jackson Davis. But Indiana as a whole gave the response that I'm sure that you were looking for today.
Yeah, they did. I mean, there was a lot of positives you can take out of this. And you take Maui as a whole. You take the 3-game as a whole. And they made two teams that are really decent teams. I mean, they're not bad teams. They're probably going to have pretty good seasons, and probably both NCAA tournament teams. And they made them look pretty bad. The unfortunate part is, sandwiched in the middle of that, it was just a awful stinker performance. I use Bill Walton's terms, stinker performance in yesterday's ball game, because the Texas game was just so bad. It was really difficult to get too excited or too high or low about what Indiana was able to accomplish in the other two games. And yeah, you're right. But to come back after that terrible performance yesterday and play as well as they did today, I don't think they were great today, but overall, you've got to feel obviously much better than we did 24 hours ago.
Yeah, I mean, because they were taking on a team that obviously they're not one of the greatest in the world, but the response is what you wanted to see. Are they going to stay down? Were they going to try to come back and fight? They did. They came back and fought. Trace Jackson Davis, I mentioned, a career high, 31 points, 10 of 16. He was very active, 11 of 14 at the free throw line, but he was very active. Jerome Hunter, a little bit, not a lot, but was also active in the paint. You could tell Indiana knew they were manhandled yesterday, and they had to come back and make a difference today, and they seemed to do that.
Yeah, they did. I mean, this is a team yesterday in Stanford that played really, really good against North Carolina and played tough and physical, and honestly should have won the ball game. And so I think I was a little bit nervous about how this game was going to look inside. I thought Indiana out physicaled and really manhandled Stanford a lot like they did, Providence a couple days ago. So, if we just deleted the Texas game from our mind, we'd feel great about where this team is. I think we'd talk about a lot of improvement. Obviously, the point of emphasis was to get the ball inside, and they're going to, I don't want to say live and die by Trace Jackson Davis, but the ball games are going to be played through him, as they should be. And he responded. He's so efficient on a regular basis that you've got to feel really good about his performance tonight. You could tell from the outset of the ball game that he really was connected mentally, physically. He was ready to come out and prove that yesterday was not the Trace Jackson Davis we're going to see out of him. And this was by far his best game of the season.
Exactly. And to see a performance like that when it comes back off of yesterday, the effort that it took, because we're talking night and day performances here. Now, of course, he's playing against a different team, but there was a concerted effort by not just Trace Jackson Davis, of course, the entire team. But let's talk about his performance specifically right now, because Indiana is going to need that performance from him this season. He was able to give it today. Yesterday, not so much. But what was it that he dug down to grab to be able to do that today?
A lot of times you hear people talk about in these scenarios and they're like, well, he just wasn't ready to play yesterday, or, that I'm not a big fan of. I don't believe a whole lot in that. He probably prepared today exactly the same way he prepared yesterday and the day before. I think maybe his mental approach, maybe the team's focus was to make sure he touched the ball a lot more. Look, the 16 shots, that's probably going to be about the norm for him. That's great. That's what they're looking for. They don't want it to be 8 shots for sure. Probably not going to get to where it's 25 shots. I mean, he went to the free throw line 14 times. So the ball was in his hands a lot. And that's really where it needs to be for Indiana to be as good as I think they're going to be. I don't think Trace's, approach to the game was probably a lot different than it was any of the other days. I think the overall team's focus was probably a little bit more directed at making sure that he touched the ball.
Jerome Hunter, I know early on was a little bit of help. He got a couple buckets early, but that would be the only buckets he would get. I thought that he was going to try to make a presence in there as well today, but that was all that we saw from him there in the paint.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't, Race Thompson, you put those two guys together, Race at 6 for 7 from the field and Trace at 10 of 16. I mean, 16 for 23 from the line for your interior guys, for your interior starting lineup. I'm going to go ahead and say that's going to win you a lot of ball games. And that's the real positives out of this. I mean, Indiana shoots 53% for the ball game. And, you know, if you you're never going to eliminate it. Obviously, you know, everyone's stats go into the overall team statistics. But I mean, if you eliminate those two guys, the performance wasn't that great. It's still, I'm a little bit skeptical to step out and say, okay, 79 points against a team like Stanford, that's more of what we can expect. I don't know that we can expect that out of this team. They're just not offensively where I was hoping they would be at this point. And I think the freshmen I thought would be a much bigger factor right now in the offensive side of the ball for Indiana.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would like to see them further along, but you mentioned Race Thompson, 15 points on 6 of 7 shooting. He even stepped out and hit a 3 today. We talked about that yesterday, and it wasn't a forced one. It looked like that was an okay-looking shot for him, and it went down. And he only took the one, and it was perfect. He takes one, he hits it. That's, man, if you can get that, of course. But, I mean, if it's 1 of 2, you don't want him shooting a lot. But to pull the guys out, to be able to almost knocked that beer over. But to be able to do that, that's nice. But I don't know, not sure how much you need that from him. But his interior presence back again today, very, very important. But efficient, that's important as well. Like I said, 15 points on 6 of 7 shooting, 2 of 2 at the free throw line. I mean, 8 rebounds. He almost has another double-double. Another good day for Race. That's a solid blue-collar day for Race Thompson.
There's no question about it. And those are the performances that if you can get that as a supporting cast, I mean, that would be a great line for Trace Jackson Davis to have. Obviously, we want him to shoot more than that, but I mean, to have that as the supporting cast along with Trace Jackson Davis and what he's going to bring night in and night out, you know, that's a very, very formidable front line to play in the Big Ten. That's going to compete every night in the Big Ten. As we keep mentioning, I'm not trying to be the Grim Reaper here, but it's the other guys that have got to step up. I mean, I think I'm probably in the majority here in saying as an Indiana fan, I expected more out of the freshmen up to this point. I know it's only 4 games into it. We're going to have a much bigger body of work a month from now. I get that. But I expected more out of them. I expected them to look more comfortable. I expected them to take better shots. And right now you're seeing Christian Lander force some shots up. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Let him get it out of his system. Those shots are going to start going down. I want to see Anthony Leal start forcing some shots up. He passed up way too many open shots tonight. And Indiana needs scoring. And somebody needs to sit down with these freshmen and say, hey, look, your open jump shot is behind Trace Jackson Davis in the lane and maybe Race Thompson. Your jump shots are the next best opportunity for us to score. And these guys have got to start taking bigger shots.
Yeah, Christian had a bigger presence today. A big part of that, obviously, Al Durham not being in the game. But, again, his shooting is not there just yet. But he looked good on the court. Other than the missed shots, I liked how he looked on the court. He looked good with the ball. He was active, moving. The ball was always moving when he was in there. 5 points on 1 of 6 shooting, though. 1 of 5 behind the arc. 2 of 2 at the free throw line, though. So those shots will fall because we know he's a good shooter. But it's like you said, it's good to see him being active. But I really liked how active the ball was when it was in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We can evaluate percentages of shooting over an entire season. So like, let's say, for example, I know this is going to work to my benefit in saying this, but, you know, you can use last year's statistics for Rob Finney, for Jerome Hunter, for Armand Franklin. You can use those guys' numbers over, you know, a 1+ year body of work. And so we kind of know what their percentages are going to be. I don't get caught up in the percentages after 4 games for Christian Lander or Trey Galloway or Geronimo or Anthony Leal. I don't get caught up in what their percentages are. Those will even out throughout the year. And we all know those guys can shoot. So their numbers will get better. I expected them as freshmen early on to struggle a little bit shooting the ball. But we're kind of working our way into that. We're 4 games into it now. They should start being more comfortable out on the court. and they should start taking shots that matter more. Trey Galloway, as many minutes as he played today to shoot 3 times, not enough. Not even close. Anthony Leal, 1 shot, not enough. Not even close. Anthony Leal passed up 4 wide open shot opportunities that Indiana needs him to take. And Christian Lander ended up getting a turnover out of one of these because he had to shoot it late in the shot clock because Anthony Leal didn't take the shot. And that's a freshman mistake. That is, him not taking the shot cost the offense a possession. And these guys have got to get more comfortable. That's a shot in high school Anthony Leal would have taken. And it's time for them to understand we're 4 games into it. We've transitioned. This team needs scoring. So when they put you in the game, they're not putting Anthony Leal in the game for defensive possessions, or they're not putting him in the game to go guard somebody. They're putting him in the game to score. That's what they recruited him for. And the faster they learn that, the better.
Well, it's funny you say that because one guy we did not see today was Jordan Geronimo, who we know is really playing pretty good defense right now, especially for a freshman. But he did not play. Anthony Leal, we didn't see him yesterday, but we did see him. So I think that the need for scoring is augmented exactly what you're – I think that supports exactly what you're saying, and that's why Anthony Leal was in there today and Geronimo was not in there.
Yeah, and you know what? Hey, I give Archie credit for trying to mess with the lineups and make something different happen, because yesterday was atrocious.
Trey Galloway got the start, as you also predicted.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, and that was without Al Durham. He's the next guy to fill that position you would have expected. I mean, that's who I would have expected. If Rob Finney got hurt, I would have expected Christian Lander to start the game. So, that kind of fit in the way it did. Trey Galloway, I'm just going to say it because they are so good. I'm not saying this because obviously I hope this comes across as I think they're great players. I'm expecting more out of Trey Galloway. I'm expecting more out of Christian Lander, Geronimo, Leal. They all, I think, should be playing better. This type of game for Race Thompson, we all would take this, and 2 games ago, or when he was 22 points and 13 rebounds, we'll take those all day long. Yes, that's awesome. I don't know that we can expect that much out of him, but Race has probably been the most consistent guy through all the games so far. And so those are great performances. Trace Jackson-Davis, we're always going to expect him to be great. That's the burden of being the best player on the team, is we expect you to be great. But the positions that have got to play better are those other 3 positions on the floor, and those other 3 guys that are out there. And whether it's the guards or Finney, or the freshman or Finney or Armand or whomever it's got to be, they've got to play better. That's the bottom line.
Unfortunately for the freshmen, they're coming into a season where they did not get the practice that you would normally get, because practice was cut off. You don't have the games that you would normally get to learn, especially these non-conference games. That's invaluable for these freshmen. That's where you learn to make the mistakes, and you're able to make the mistakes, and it doesn't cost your team so much.
Here's the thing with that, Jim. I totally agree with you. And that's why I'll say Christian Lander at 1 for 6. I don't mind that at all. I don't care if it's 1 for 11. I don't mind that at all. He's doing what we know he can do. What I don't like is Trey Galloway at 2 for 3. What I don't like is Anthony Leal at 0 for 1. There were wide open shots both of those guys could have taken, and they will learn, hopefully sooner rather than later, that passing up those shots is hurting the offense. Those guys are recruited to score. Those guys are recruited to shoot. And that's what Indiana needs from them. They don't need those guys to work the ball around. That's what Rob Finney's really good at. That's what Armand's good at. That's what Christian Lander's pretty good at. But I want the ball to stop in those guys' hands and go towards the rim. And the sooner they learn that, the better, to be honest with you.
And I'm not asking you to get into Anthony Leal's head, not getting to play the minutes that the other freshmen had played. Coming into today, all of a sudden he gets. Is he a little too
tentative? Yeah, he's tentative.
Yes.
He's trying to work himself in so it doesn't look like he's forcing it. But if I could sit down and have a conversation with him, I would say, what did they recruit you for? Would you, if we watch the game film, when he catches the ball and his feet are set, I would say in high school, would you have shot that shot? And the answer 100% of the time will be yes. And I would say that's why they recruited you. They did not recruit you to be a facilitator and get other guys involved. They recruited you to score the basketball. And so take those shots. You're hurting the offense by not taking those shots. It's not like he was coming down 5 seconds into the shot clock and passing up shots. He was passing up shots late in the shot clock that in high school he would have taken.
Hey, make sure you go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. I never push this stuff. I hate. I'm terrible at that. But YouTube is we're on so many different formats. But YouTube is the place that kind of catches everything, especially video wise. So please go there if you're listening now, and if you're going to be listening to this show, go there and subscribe. It makes it a lot easier for us. We appreciate you. And of course, we're coming to you live from Yogi's, where I am. Todd is still out in the field because of these stupid day games.
These early day games.
Hopefully, this is the last day game.
For sure.
Until the NCAA tournament. But then we'll be back here live. But make sure you stop in Yogi's and have yourself a beverage or I had a burger before. Golly, it was awesome. I've never had the burger here before today, but it was so good. But
well,
yeah, come in here
I
and
wish
check
I
it
could
out.
say that. I've had plenty. I've had them plenty.
You're a mini corn dog guy. Those mini corn dogs.
Boy, I miss them.
Jerome Hunter, I noticed he got active early in the paint, couple of buckets. I'm like, ooh, look at Jerome. Which that's not his position, not his role. Just necessity right now, but then that was it, and then we didn't get much more out of him the rest of the day. I'm looking for his stat. There it is, 4 points, 2 of 4 shooting, 0 for 1 from behind the arc, 0 for 1 at the free throw line. He had 4 rebounds and an assist, but he just not a lot coming from him.
And here's the thing. Here's one of the deals with him. And we heard early on. We will go back to what Robbie Hummel said about Jerome Hunter is how's he going to rebound as a guy in that 4 position? Well, Race Thompson's taken over that 4 position right now. So as a 3 guard, which is the 3 position, which is what Jerome Hunter has been playing as, we'll take 4 rebounds out of that position. You know, Jerome's got to get more comfortable. I said this yesterday, and I firmly believe it. Like, he will continue throughout the year. I think we'll see the biggest transition from him this year as maybe anyone on the team except for maybe Race up to this point. But I think Jerome will get more comfortable. Jerome's going to end up becoming, a 3rd/4th scoring option for Indiana on a regular basis. He's a scorer. He's an offensive player mentality, and that's what Indiana needs. And he's just working himself into the lineup as well, trying to figure out where he's going to be. But if you look at on the floor, Trace Jackson-Davis, Race Thompson, then you add Jerome Hunter to that, he easily slides down to that 3 position, that big guard/small forward position. And boy, he's a great size and a great skill set to be in that position for Indiana. I'm telling you, the 1, 2, 3 positions are the ones that to me are wide open. I mean, obviously, I think we would say Rob Finney solidified, the point guard position right now, and he's played well. He's played solid, but I really feel like all 3 of those positions have a dramatic opportunity to improve and play better. And I really think that Indiana's potential and ceiling is still really high. I mean, if we could all just delete yesterday, including myself, I'm the biggest person that has trouble letting those things go. But yesterday's game just left a bad taste in my mouth all night long. And hopefully tomorrow, we'll wake up and feel good about the way Indiana played today.
Well, and I think part of the reason it leaves such a bad taste in everyone's mouth is because you see them play the day before, you see them play today, and those efforts, they're pretty similar. You see that effort from yesterday, and it's not even close, and that's a decision. The one thing that you can control is your effort, and they had complete control over that effort yesterday. Not the result, I'm fine with that, but it's the effort, and I think that's what people have a lot of problems with, and we've seen that. That's been a kind of a constant under this through the last few years. It's just the effort is just not always there. So I think that's been an issue for people. But today, shooting, they did great. You mentioned earlier, they were 53%, 27 of 51, even behind the arc. They were 5 of 15 for 33%. That's not great, but it's not terrible. It's not bad. You'll take it, especially for this team.
Yeah, there's for this team at this point, you're right. And yesterday we would have
and the free throw shooting.
Free throw shooting was very good again. They got to the line a bunch. That was I know Bill Walton didn't love it, but that was a key focus. Yeah, I know. Like that first half with Bruce Hornsby was maybe like if there's a way I could have got a direct line to ESPN, I wanted to force them to watch that. They should have to watch that game.
That was pathetic.
That first half. That's atrocious. Like that doesn't even make any sense. But to go back to Indiana, I want to say one thing, and I tend to always take this side, and I'm not disagreeing with what you said, Jim. I think I saw a lot of tweets yesterday about it. I see people say this kind of thing a lot about the effort. And as a former player, as someone who's been in those positions, who's played on teams that went to Michigan and beat the Fab Five and went to Minnesota and lost by 50. The effort, when things start going bad and it starts becoming an uphill battle. It's not the effort most of the time. It's not that guys aren't playing hard. It's not that they're not trying. It's that, the hardest thing to do is turn it around when things are not going your way. And yesterday, Indiana started the game out. Things weren't going their way. I'll give you two great examples. Providence 2 days ago. Things started out, they were not going their way, and they had a tough time turning it around. Today, Stanford started out, things were not going their way. You give Indiana credit for those. I give Indiana credit for those, but it was very difficult for them to turn that around. Look how great Stanford looked yesterday. I was really nervous about this game because Stanford looked incredible against North Carolina yesterday, but Indiana came out and got on the upper hand immediately, and it's so difficult to turn that around. It's not that I think Stanford's effort was terrible today. I just think it was an uphill battle for them. And so I don't know that I agree with a lot of fans. And I'm just not going to take that side of it and say they didn't play hard yesterday, because I think they played hard. I think they just couldn't turn it around. A young team struggles to turn it around when it's not going your way. Now, flip to the shooting side of it that you said. Yeah, it's an improvement today. 5 of 15 threes. I think Race Thompson was the only guy to make a three in the first half. I don't mind Race shooting threes. I think he's a good three-point shooter. His form is good. They're going to leave him open, and he's capable of making it. I want him to shoot those shots, especially if they're going to come out and guard him at that point, because that's going to bring a 4/5 man out of the lane out there to come guard him. The rest of the team still, I think, struggled to shoot the ball. That's going to be the Achilles heel for this team throughout the season. I think we're going to continually talk about, yesterday's game is a lot different if Indiana shoots the ball well. Even though you take all the stuff that went bad and teams are going to making shots cures a lot of missed transition rotations and missed blockouts and things like that. Making shots and knocking it down, that cures a lot of ill. And this is a team that's still, I think, going to struggle to shoot the ball. And until we see them do it on a consistent basis, when you can get excited about 33% shooting from the 3-point line, obviously, we got a big room for improvement.
Armaan Franklin, a surprise starter for me. But today, he 13 points, 4 of 10 shooting. He was 0 of 3 from behind the arc, but 5 of 6 at the free throw line again, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, there's nothing more than you're going to ask from a guy in his position than that right there. That's a pretty damn nice stat line.
Well, I'll say this, and I'm going to – last year Justin Smith was kind of my whipping boy, which, I criticized him more than anything. And I'll tell you, I think it's Armaan Franklin this year for me, because Armaan is the starting shooting guard for Indiana. Okay. I mean, we know Rob Finney's the point guard. So the starting shooting guard for Indiana shoots 20% from the 3-point line for his career. And
yeah, that's the one negative there.
That's where his
that's a
stat
big
line is
negative
good.
When you're the shooting guard.
His stat line is good. Like that many rebounds is awesome. That many assists is awesome. Okay, but as my shooting guard, I don't need a facilitator. I need a guy that can knock down shots. And so, I think there'll be plenty of opportunity and positions for Armaan to be, to be a big factor in the games this year. But I need my shooting guard to shoot, and I need my 2 and 3 positions out there. I need that 3 in Jerome Hunter, or that 3 position. I mean, not shooting, but I need that as Anthony Leal, Jordan Geronimo. I need guys to step up and make shots in that 2 and 3 guard position. You can't expect it out of Rob Finney, although he's more than adequate as a 3-point shooter. That's not what we expect out of him. And so that 2 and 3 guard position is really the positions we need outside shooting from. And until Armaan, continually or consistently knocks down outside shots, I think as it gets later in the year, I think we'll end up seeing the same thing we saw last year. In that early in the year, Armaan played a lot, and later in the year, they couldn't put him on the floor because he can't knock down the outside shots. Teams are just going to start packing it in against Indiana. You know that. I was shocked at the defense I saw out of Stanford today. Coming out and guarding Indiana all over the floor is not what I expected out of Stanford. I thought they'd pack it in.
And they paid the price for that.
Yeah, they did. They totally did.
We've seen teams do that in the last couple of years. the point. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Perfect point that you make is there's been so much talked about Indiana's lack of shooting, and what you just said really puts it in a nutshell. Your shooting guard is not your shooter.
Is not a shooter.
He's not.
He's a good player. He's a really good player,
but he's not your shooter.
Yep.
That's a problem when your shooting guard is not your shooter.
The guy who starts in the shooting guard position shoots the worst percentage on the entire team from 3-point range, and that's not over a 4-game body of work. That's over a season plus 4-game body of work.
So where do you put a guy like Armaan Franklin, who's doing good stuff now, who's learning, he's getting experience? I mean, it's a nice stat line, with the exception of if he was not the shooting guard. But so you need that production.
Yeah, and I think you were kind of hitting on that point when you were saying it. As I expect Armaan to play. I probably didn't expect him to start. I expect him to be a guy that comes in off the bench and subs, especially with Al. I don't know how long Al's injury is going to be, but it appears it's going to be longer than a game. So I look at it from the standpoint of I do expect Armaan Franklin to play. I think Indiana needs him to play. As the 2 guard or the shooting guard position, I don't expect him to play in that role. And if he's going to have to be able to consistently knock down shots. Now, hopefully you could take the whole body of what I just said and look at it and analyze. I'm not criticizing Armaan Franklin from the standpoint of how he played. I thought he played really well today on the offensive end. I still don't think he's a shooter at this point in his career. I think he has the potential to be, but he's got a couple things to fix before he does that. And when he fixes those, he will be Indiana's probably leading 3-point shooter on the team, but he's not going to be until he gets more consistent.
Indiana rebounded Stanford today. Total rebounds 34-26. Always a positive sign, especially against a team that I thought was really going to give Indiana problems in the paint. They really didn't. Indiana controlled the paint across the board. Points, whether it was points in the paint or whatever, they led in every category along that way. And like I said, out-rebounded them. Here's an assist stat. Indiana had 20 assists on 27 made baskets. There, we talked about that window yesterday.
Yep.
Ooh, that's way inside that window. But how about Stanford? They had 6 assists on 19 made baskets.
Yeah, and they're much more of a one-on-one. I mean, Zaire Williams is just ridiculously good. He's going to score a lot of baskets off of one-on-one moves. You'll see him go in the draft, if not this year, next year, really high because his NBA potential is big. But I mean, when you look at Indiana, they're not a team that's going to have a ton of one-on-one moves. They should have that kind of ratio when it comes to, assists to field goals made. And moving forward, 20 out of 27, that's a lot. 27 made field goals. I think there should be a lot more than that, truly. But they got to the free throw line so many times, you're never going to complain about that. I don't really, you don't need to compare it to the other team near as much as you need to compare it to how we've done in previous games. And 20 out of 27 assisted baskets is definitely on the good side for Indiana.
Absolutely. They can keep that forward. Now, and talking about going forward, they get some time off, Todd. They get like a week off before they face a formidable Florida State team in the Big Ten ACC Challenge.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be physical and it's going to be a battle. And Indiana is a Big Ten team. It's supposed to be viewed as a very physical team. And I think against Providence, they imposed their will. I think Trace Jackson-Davis and Race Thompson established the paint. Today, they established the paint. I don't think any of us would disagree that Stanford, was outmanned when it came to the inside. Don't know that that'll be the case against Florida State. And I'd be really interested to find out. I don't know that we can expect the stat line we got out of Trace and Race for a Florida State game. But if you get anywhere near it, you've got to feel pretty darn good about it. I will be in the next week looking forward to how this team's going to improve from an outside shooting perspective. And that to me is the difference maker in how this team goes. And hearing a statement like that, the old school coaches of the world will say, it's not jump shots. You're not going to win and lose games by jump shots. I disagree. I think Indiana has proven for 2-3 years now that they can lose a lot of games by not being able to make jump shots. And so I need to see him improve in that position, in that category. And that's what I'm looking forward to, not just the next game, but throughout the month of December, all the way up till when we're playing full-time Big Ten games right around Christmas. I want to see this team gradually improve and get a little bit better. I don't expect them to come out and start making 15 threes a game, but I expect them to come out and improve. And that's what I'll be looking for.
Other than the old-fashioned practice, how does the team improve on outside shooting, a specific discipline, when it's something that this program has struggled with for the last couple of years, but it's something that has to improve fast? We keep saying that every year, but how do you, other than just practicing, what's going to make that better?
Well, I'll tell you exactly the difference with that, Jim, is when you look at what I said earlier with Anthony Leal. And Anthony Leal passed up wide open jump shots today for, just because he's uncomfortable as a freshman, just because he probably doesn't feel like it's his position to shoot yet. We're not talking 5 seconds into the shot clock. I'm talking late in the shot clock. By not someone sitting down with him. Yes, a lot of it's going to have to do with what you said, practice, just getting comfortable shooting at this pace of play. Just becoming comfortable out on the floor. That's a big part of it. Knocking down the shot, Anthony Leal, Trey Galloway, Christian Lander, they're all capable of it. Geronimo, they're all capable of making the shot. Sitting down with them in front of a camera, in front of a videotape, watching it, saying, okay, Anthony, I want you to look right here. By you not taking this shot, it's not that you missed it. By you not taking this shot, you're costing the percentage that our team has the opportunity to shoot. Because the 2 shots I can specifically remember off the top of my head, him passing up those shots, one, we got a shot clock violation, and the other one, Christian Lander had to jack up a shot with 1 second on the shot clock. It wasn't his fault. It was not Christian Lander's fault. It was Anthony Leal's fault. And I think someone sitting down with them, going through the videotape, saying, by you not taking that shot, you are hurting our offense. Trey Galloway is also, a person that's guilty of the exact same thing. These guys have got to step up and take the shots. And I think we'll laugh later in these guys' career at the fact that early on there was opportunities for them to shoot the ball that they didn't shoot it. And I came into lineups where I was almost always the 5th option to shoot the ball when I was on the floor. And early in my career, I played that way. Later in my career, I was still probably the 5th option, but I sure took advantage of the opportunity when I had a chance. And I shot the ball when I was open. And I think these guys will laugh at it later in their career that they came in and played it as tentatively as they are right now.
I've got to use 2 laptops to actually see the questions like we did last year, or the comments that we didn't do before. And I'm trying to do that. We'll do that more in the future. But I did notice that Roger said something that kind of goes along exactly with what you're talking about. He said he saw both Texas and Stanford shooting outside off of screens, but IU seems like it's looking for all open outside shots. Are they working to develop outside shots, or just looking for open shots and passing them up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to – this is going to come across negative, but I'm not going to try to analyze Indiana's offense. I think Seth Greenberg probably put it the best in saying Indiana runs offense. I'm not sure they run offense to score.
Yes.
And I mean, I like to give him some credit for that, because that is it's a fabulous comment and analogy. But it goes along with exactly what Roger and you are saying, in that, this team, this team has, I don't want to say an identity. They have a purpose in what they're trying to accomplish, and that purpose is to get Trace Jackson-Davis the ball. In doing so, I think that some of the younger players don't feel comfortable yet taking a shot when they don't feel like they've given Trace Jackson-Davis the ball yet. And like I said, that'll change over time. Hopefully this year. Hopefully it doesn't take, sophomore to junior season for these guys to get comfortable in doing so, because this offense will continue to struggle unless Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal, Christian Lander start to become more comfortable on the offensive end at taking those shots. Christian Lander, 1 for 6 today. I'd feel better if he was 1 for 11. Don't care about the misses. The fact that he's willing to step up and take the shots, I would say he's farther along than the other 2 are at this point.
Todd Buza says hi from Kabiba, Africa, by the way. So
Wow.
We got listeners all over the world. That's kind of cool.
We had Australia last year. We got Africa now. Huh?
Yeah, and going forward, again, I'm going to get this 2-laptop system going so we can still see the questions because I don't want to get into all of them. But there are some good comments. Like that one was a good one right there that I wanted to get that in because it just went right along with what we were talking about. But so Indiana's got a week off now. They've got a lot of time to prepare and continue to work. I'm trying to get off that stupid
the
steel sun that's hit me there. I can't get out of the way of it, but
nope.
That time of day. But yeah, week going forward now, you got to work on just improving on everything that they've got to do as far as integrating other guys. This rotation seems set. We saw 8 guys today. You're without Al Durham. You're without Joey Brunk. Al Durham, you think could be, we don't know how long that could be. Joey Brunk, that could be any time that he comes back. How does that affect this rotation when he does come back with what they've got going right now?
Honestly, that's a guess because, Al's injury looked like, we've all seen turned ankles. We've all seen guys, step on the side of it before. Then we've also seen like what happened with Gordon Hayward with his ankle in that situation a year ago. Like Al's looked ugly. It didn't look like something that was going to be a 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 game return. So I don't know when it comes to that, but I will say, I think we expect these younger players. Like I'll tell you right now, if Anthony Leal would have stepped up and shot the ball 5 times today and made 2 of them, I think we would expect to see a lot more Anthony Leal in the next game, no matter who the opponent is, not whether it's Florida State or whether it's Tennessee Tech. I think we would expect to see a continued increase in the number of minutes that they play. The fact that he still didn't look comfortable, it won't surprise me if he barely plays again. It won't surprise me if we see more Jordan Geronimo again. Until one of these guys starts to step up and feel more comfortable and look more comfortable and take shots when they need to. I'll tell you, there's I think people might not understand unless you ever sat down with Coach Knight and watched game film or Coach Dockich. Coach Dockich became just an extension of Coach Knight. So we spent as much time watching film with him as Coach Knight. But until you've sat down with them and you would understand, like, listen to the statement I'm going to make here. You would get in more trouble as a player by not taking a shot you should have taken than by forcing and taking a bad shot. And so, let me repeat that. You get in more trouble for not taking an open shot because the offense is designed to come through and out of 3 passes or 11 passes, however many it's going to be, it's designed to get an open shot. And you might work for 23 seconds in a possession and get 1 open look. And if you pass up that open look, then we're going to have to take the next best thing that's available. And so what I'm trying to not say very articulately here is these freshmen are going to have to start taking the shots when they're open because they're hurting the offense. They would definitely have had a lot longer film session today because they passed up open looks versus Christian Lander's not going to get in trouble for the shots he missed, the shots he took and missed. He's not going to get, they're going to say, hey, he might work on his footwork, might work on, he twists his body when he's in the air and shoots a little bit. That's something he could very easily work on and fix. And so they'll talk to him about that. They're not going to say, hey, stop shooting these shots. And so again, I'm just going to belabor the point in saying under a Coach Knight regime and Dan Dockich going through this, we would have definitely been in more trouble for the open looks we passed up today than the shots that we took that were bad shots or missed.
We would certainly hated to miss seeing you guys take all those shots, but it's another fun day. At least it comes out for a win for Indiana. They get a week off now to prepare, so we're looking forward to that. And it gives us some time off. Hopefully next time we're all going to be here at Yogi's. Be together. So make sure you please go to the YouTube channel and give us subscribe so we can keep that molding on. And if you're out and about in Bloomington, make sure you stop by Yogi's. It's a great place to catch the ball game. How about that backdrop back there? The signatures are added. I've seen a few more added on there. I looked at a couple new ones. Of course, Todd's is up there as well as many, many others, man. But looking forward to finish out this weekend. We'll be on the show tomorrow as well. Todd, I hope you have a great rest of the week. And I'm sure you've got to be satisfied with what you saw with today.
Yeah, 2-1 in the Maui. Obviously you'd love for that to have been in that championship game. But I think when you can say that at this point in the season, or December 2nd, Indiana has beaten Stanford and Providence, I mean, everyone asked for a tougher schedule, and they got it. And if we could just somehow delete that Texas game from our minds, you'd feel really, really good. They just played so poorly in that game. It's tough to do. But I mean, we can be excited about 2-1 in Maui and beating teams like they didn't beat Chaminade. I mean, they beat Providence, which will probably be an NCAA team, and they beat Stanford, which will probably be an NCAA team.
Well, we couldn't be happier. I want to thank everybody here at Yogi's. Thanks to Chris Martin and to the entire Finney hospitality group. Always great. Love being here. Love good being back here, having some mini corn dogs and everything else. Make sure you stop by when you have the chance. And, of course, we're back on tomorrow for Indiana Sports Beat. Make sure you catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio. And we'll be back after the Florida State game for after the game with Todd Leary. So it's all kinds of fun stuff coming up, man. Looking forward to it, Todd. Thanks a lot, brother. Hope you have a great day.
Enjoyed it. Thanks, brother.
As always, I hope everyone else has a great day as well. Go out, do something nice for somebody. Please wear your mask. And until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.